Righto, the great man, Steve Peios, mate. A great night of fights tonight. Liam Paro couldn't have done much more in there tonight.
Absolutely. The great man's right in front of me, mate. It's the Mutual Appreciation Society as we understand it, mate. But no, look, it was a great night tonight. I thought Liam Paro showed his great discipline. He listened to his coach. Alfie was very much into him tonight about making sure that he didn't make any mistakes, that he was clinical in his performance. And I asked him in the post-fight press conference about that discipline and that maturity and how important that will be for him to make sure that he takes that into his next world title fight, takes that into a unification fight with Hitchens. And he said, absolutely, it's about making sure that he stays disciplined, that he stays ready, but when the time comes to put the shot on, in the case of Navarro, it looked like he either broke his nose or did an orbital or something like that, fractured eye socket. He absolutely cleaned him up when the time comes. So fantastic performance. Funnily enough, though, there was a point where I was thinking after about 4 rounds, there was a moment where I said to myself, geez, I wonder if this is going to be a points decision, really comfortable from Liam, but no risks, no danger, making sure that he just gets the win, because he was so comfortable in the first 4 rounds, but didn't really go and engage, too much. He did have, a bit of a flurry at the end of round 4, but there was that situation, when round 5, when it presented himself, and then he busted him up, and then the corner said, right, time to finish it off. So I agree with you that he couldn't have done any more. I think we all sort of thought he'd knock him out in and around 4 to 8, somewhere like that. It was the end of round 5, but it was a great performance, and the crowd really got behind him as well. So I think that'll fill him with confidence now. And I guess similarly to Tszyu, as we sort of called last time when he came back and won, he really showed that he's world class now and could set himself up for a world title coming up next.
George spoke about a one-fight deal Liam has with No Limits. What'd you make of what No Limit done for Liam Paro this week? And, if he was to stay with the team, what do you think they can do for Liam here in Australia?
Look, I thought it was a great week. Okay, so if we talk about what they've done for him in terms of getting him a fight in front of his sort of inverted commas home fans here in North Queensland, I thought they did a fantastic job. The crowd really came out tonight. There was great vibes in the venue when we got there and announced them, and they all got up behind Liam tonight, which I was really pleased about. That I didn't need to really touch on it too much to get them going. That they really got into it. So that side of things, A, fantastic. B, I think what No Limit have shown is that they have a contact book that's very deep. I think the promoters are able to make the calls, to talk to whoever it is they need to talk to, whether it's, I don't know, ringing the president of a sanctioning body, whether it's ringing the right people at the right time to get the deals done. So one fight deal, I don't know what that means in terms of what Angelo Di Carlo does. We know that he's managed by Angelo and the Ace Boxing Group. I don't know if they look at that and go, right, you've shown us that you're willing to work with us and help us out and put us in that right position. I think what No Limit showed after Tszyu, got a world title shot straight away again, is that they have the ability to catapult people into that position. So I think Liam Paro would be probably, maybe not expecting is the word in his case. I think he's being humble and treating what's ahead of him, but I think he would be of reasonable expectation to look at it and go, a world title shot could be next. I think I had a look at the rankings, right, Mac, and what I was going to do was say something outrageous before this about maybe him going up to welterweight, but then you have a look at welterweight with Norman Jr., with Boots, across there. There's some good guys there at welterweight, and maybe he is definitely better to stay at super lightweight now. I think we know Hitchens is the king when it comes to this division, but if you actually look at some of the other guys in, I think Puello defends his belt at WBC coming up against Matias. Matias gets another shot at a belt. I think you've got a few guys in and around there that he probably beats. And there's talk that Teofimo goes up as well as they sort of start chasing bigger fights. Devin Haney, all that sort of thing as well. So I think he can reasonably expect it. And to come back and answer your question, I think definitely they've done a great job for him here this week. And moving forward, they will probably get him a world title. I think he should be in line for one next.
3 weeks till Tszyu gets this rematch with Tszyu-Fundora. What do you made of Tszyu? He's doing his camper in Australia. What do you made of the sort of journey towards this rematch?
I think the build-up's been fantastic. I think he himself and his team were a little unsure after the Joey Spencer fight if that's what was happening next. I think there would have been discussions about it that, hey, we're going to look to get you straight into a world title fight. But don't forget, there was big talk that it was going to be Keith Thurman at the start of July in the Gold Coast, that was going to be the next fight, followed by, a rematch once again with Fundora or some sort of belt. The fact that he's in there now, straight away fighting for that, means that he's probably put himself into that focus mode after a couple of weeks and got himself ready. I think the build-up's been great. I think it's really starting to come to a head now. This week was all about adding that, tacking that on. You notice we did a few, promos throughout the show tonight about scanning QR codes and making sure that, you're visibly aware. I know Bomber Bedell was talking about it in the coverage. I know with Megan, they were talking about it. We had the QR code up in the ring, whilst in between rounds. So the promotion's been fantastic, and I know that it's all crescendoing nicely to what is effectively a win or bust week for Tim Tszyu. I think he has to win, especially at super welterweight. He has to win because otherwise things get reset a little bit. If he's then going to campaign at middleweight, he has to start again, beat a few guys, get ranked, and go from there. So it's certainly building to be a fantastic time for him, and I know Las Vegas will be a wonderful week of boxing with Pacquiao coming back as well. So it's all set up beautifully, mate.
Last one, saw Michael Zerafa on the coverage tonight. Bit of talk about a Nikita Tszyu fight at the back end of the year. Where do you see Michael Zerafa in the Australian boxing sort of landscape at the moment?
I'll tell you where I'll start with answering this, Macca, is that interestingly, he was asked tonight, would you fight like a Kira Rustin? I can't remember on the coverage that the guys were talking. It was either Kira Rustin or it was Callum Peters, Could have been Callum Peters, actually. Would you fight him at sort of middleweight? And Zerafa was very quick to point out, look, I'm number one, in Australia. I've got the crown next to my name, as you know, on BoxRec. You have the crown there when you rank like that. So he was very quick to point out. And I think, probably rightly, Macca, that I am credentialed. Like, I have fought a lot of fights. I've fought in big fights overseas. I've fought for world titles. I think, look, potentially he could fight some of those guys later on down the line. But as you know, with boxing, the way it sometimes times is that you'll get a guy who's 9, 10 and 0 might fight as Zerafa in his last fight or two. Now, I'm not talking about him specifically as that name, but the way that it's structured, you might get him. I just don't think these younger guys, Zerafa will be too far finished by then, and they'll be still building their careers up. So I don't see that happening. I think, to come back to what you asked, I think he spoke really well tonight. I thought he was a good addition to the broadcast team, and I feel like he's probably got one more run left in him now. We don't know what the date is for that next show for No Limit here in Australia, whether or not it's August 20, 27, early September. I don't really know yet. But if he wins that fight, and by all accounts, if Nikita comes back and wins, then what happens is that they'll fight each other end of year. That sounds like it's pretty warm, I think, from what we've sort of spoken about the circuit here with everybody that's in the know. They've said that looks like it will happen. And I think he's confirmed today to Fox Sports masthead that the deal is in place, and then there's potentially Tim Tszyu next year. I don't know what that looks like. I mean, we've got to see what happens with Tim Tszyu, especially if he wins his belt back at super welterweight and then tries to unify or something like that. So I don't know what that looks like, but I think he's still relevant, Michael. I think he's still in a position where a fight versus Nikita is a big draw. I think it is end of year, Macca. So if he wins his next fight, we don't know who the opponent is. I think he'll be set up. But look, he's going well. I thought he was good tonight on the broadcast, and he was good to be around him. I know he's a favourite of this channel, Jai Boxing. So very much look forward to seeing more of him.
Thank you, Stu. Appreciate it, mate.
Thanks, mate. Good on you. See you soon.